diverse set of communities to use this information. Often we have seen capabilities from ITU, telecom sector. They are the best people when it comes to reaching out to the remote communities, but also community organizations, private sector, many other were looked at in terms of addressing early warning to institutions around communities with disabilities, women, children, and indigenous group. So the reasons why this particular session is being organized as part of the Advancing Early Warning, together all these different voices to make sure that the information is tailored, geotagged, SMS are reached to different form of information. We know in 30 years before we communicate through radio or use some mosque or temple or church to communicate information about disasters. Like in Global South, we know issues like cyclones or flood. And then now today we have modern tools have come, use of artificial intelligence, but still what is our last mile delivery when it comes to benefiting this advanced technologies and tool. So later today, we are going to hear from the experts in terms of what we can present from this global experiences of a more people-centered early warning capability. That means that we understood the risk and we are not just talking about X number of rainfall is going to happen, but how do you translate that into an actionable oriented? So with that, let me introduce the first speaker so that we have over the sequence of the session is we have an introductory openings presentation and followed by moderation of 4 experts. So the first speaker is more to talk about Karen Wu, who is a senior coordinator on early warning system, International Telecommunication Union, supports the digital infrastructure resilience, as we all know, during the COVID-19 in terms of recovery and disaster response across multiple regions. Formerly, she had the access to Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission. She specialized in competition policy, regulation, and interconnection, and has extensive experience in ICT policy, compliance, and international collaboration. Because at the end, the ethics and the kind of how do you provide information tailored to those communities. Without further delay, let me ask Karen to share your presentation. And you have got 10 minutes to introduce the topic. And I will come back when it comes to the moderating the session led by Johan. Over to you, Karen.
Thank you, Giriraj. Thank you to everyone. And thank you to IWMI for this privilege to be able to share on this topic. And I will try to not speak too long. So this is a very important topic. Let's jump in. So this is a global map, global early warning coverage from the World Bank study. The early warnings coverage determinants of reception and benefits, what surveys can tell us. So this is just to set the scene that, in developed countries, you can see that there's about 60 or 80% that they receive early warnings prior to the last disaster they experienced. But this is not the case in many parts of Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Central Asia, Middle East, and North Africa. In the study, they found that there is some correlation between early warning coverage and the country's GDP per capita. But even within similar income levels, early warning coverage based on per capita varies. So per capita GDP is only one factor. Here there's something else that was quite interesting from the same study. You can see that where the hazard is less predictable, the percentage who receive the early warning is low as compared to when the hazard is predictable. So across income levels, whether low income, middle income, upper middle income, or high income countries, where the hazard is predictable, the percentage of people who receive early warning is much higher, especially in high, lower middle, and upper middle countries. Here we can see, okay, how are they distributed across the country based on country income categories. And you can see that in the yellow category, low community organizations, the low-income countries have a higher reliance on this, but there's less reliance as the incomes go higher. But it's interestingly enough, the local government or police in blue shows that where the income increases, their prominence increases. Similar trend with internet and social media, where the income increases, it's it's also more prominent as a channel. So there is obviously a need to improve the early warnings because a lot of there's a gap, and that's why the early warnings for all came about in March of 2022 to ensure that everyone on Earth is protected by the multi-hazard early warning system. This is a United Nations Secretary General who set this target. There are 4 pillars. You can see on the left-hand side, the 4 pillars of early warnings. I have another slide to tell you a little bit more. The key figures that you might be aware, as you might know, the 97% or 97.9% of the world population is covered by mobile network. So mobile is quite important. 4 out of 5 persons in the world own a mobile phone. However, if you see on the right-hand side, 30% of people globally receive no warning at all. So there is a lot of opportunity, and ITU supports countries, in the implementation, especially for Pillar 3, using technologies such as cell broadcast and standards such as Common Alerting Protocol. We work hand in hand with governments, partners, development partners as well. And we also try to foster communities of practice through the technical expert group on cell broadcast, AI for early warning subgroup. And we have some key products which I will share. So in this slide just shows you the 4 pillars under early warning for all. We start with pillar 1 that looks at disaster risk knowledge. So what are the hazards, these vulnerabilities known by communities? What are the patterns? Are there risk maps and is data widely available? Globally, this is led by UNDRR. Once we know what those risks are, they need to be detected, observed, monitored, analyzed, and to forecast them. This is pillar 2, globally led by WMO. So they are concerned with whether the right parameters are monitored. Is there a scientific basis for making forecasts? Are they accurate and timely warnings? So once there's a need to disseminate a warning, then this comes to pillar 3. Would those warnings reach all those at risk? Are the risks and warnings understood? Is the warning information clear and usable? Globally, this is led by ITU. And then once the warnings have been disseminated, then the 4th pillar is, are the people are they prepared and ready to respond? This is preparedness and response capabilities, which is led by IFRC. Do they have the capacities? Yeah, they're ready to and prepared to react to warnings. So coming back to pillar 3, there are 4 outcomes. So outcome 1 talks about governance. The countries must agree on the functions, the roles and responsibilities for each actor in the dissemination policy. And this is normally defined through government policy. Then the outcome 2 is on infrastructure, networks, and services. The countries must have multi-channel dissemination and communication alerting to ensure that warnings reach those at risk. Outcome 3, very close to this topic today, inclusion and people-centered approach. There's strengthened and expanded alert dissemination and feedback channels to reach everyone. And outcome 4, those alerts must have quality and trust. And are they implemented through the Common Alerting Protocol, which is suitable for all hazards and all media? So a few keys just to guide this conversation today, and I'm sure the experts will talk more. But the first one and most important is governance and coordination. So we start with that. This early warning for all initiatives has been rolled out in about 13 countries, mostly including small island developing states and least developed countries. Of course, as this work gathers pace, scale, and resourcing, more countries will be added. This is a multi-stakeholder approach. It needs to involve all the government ministries, the regulators, with support from UN, the global pillar leads, but not only them, other agencies as well, UN agencies, development agencies, the private sector, academia, and international and national non-governmental agencies. This involves developing a this development of early warning national roadmap to ensure that the multi-year, multi-stakeholder activities to implement early warning systems. It needs to include everyone. Everyone needs to be brought to the table to set activities to implement early warning systems. And once you have the plans in place, when it's time for implementation, when they need to carry out studies, any research, any simulation exercises, governance and coordination with feedback mechanism, feedback from the people is very important to ensure that inclusive early warning messages. So the next key that is important after we have, once there's governance, is multi-channel early warning system. Just now, Giraj mentioned about TV, radio. So the alerting authorities on the left-hand side need to be able to send messages through a secure connection using common alerting protocol. And they need to be disseminated through all sorts of media, including TV, radio, mobile, internet services, sirens, and even analog, like what he's mentioned earlier, church bells, maybe Morse, whatever, or mics or megaphones. All this is also very important so that the communities can be reached. This is a map of countries in the world with mobile early warning system in place. You would notice very quickly that most of the countries that have this, either cell broadcast or early warning, either cell broadcast or location-based SMS, they are mostly in the developed countries. In the developing countries, there are a few. For example, Philippines, you can see here. There, Mauritius, some can't really see. So a few notable examples in the developing countries, like I think Thailand has also recently launched, but far and few in the developing countries. Yeah. So quickly, just I think the expert might be able to share a little bit more. So there are two types of mobile cellular technologies: cell broadcast and location-based SMS. Cell broadcast can send geolocated messages to users, and it would include even those who are roaming or tourists. Whereas for location-based SMS, roaming agreement might be needed, especially for tourists. I think both would support multi-language alerts. Cell broadcast is not affected by congestion. Location-based SMS is. For cell broadcast, no subscription is needed, whereas location-based SMS, obviously subscription is needed. And both are compatible in most devices. Cell broadcast, because of the way it's designed, is a blind technology. There's no two-way feedback, whereas location-based SMS allows for that. So another area that ITU is also working to enhance is using the direct-to-device to satellite or direct-to-handset satellite, and these are some examples. I'm just not going to go through in the interest of time. Key number 3 is communities' role. So communities also have a role to ensure that the dissemination and alerting. So community engagement is very crucial. Where possible, it's always good to leverage the existing systems, ensure that there's ownership and feedback mechanisms. The messages must be tailored to local context, and we need to promote trust and responsiveness to early warning system. Okay. So key number 4 is the use of AI. I just want to introduce a few tools. So the ITU has developed this disaster connectivity map. We collaborated with Microsoft AI for Good Lab, Planet, and Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington. So this this integrates AI with satellite imagery to create high-resolution population density maps. And then we are able to visualize how many people and where are vulnerable to natural hazards because they cannot receive emergency notifications. So there are 33 countries that we have developed some results, and we are scaling to more countries, to 50 countries. So if you can see on the right-hand side, in the orange, and the orange is the total population. So the higher the spots, the higher the color is where the more population are. And then the blue is where population beyond network reach. So you can see where there are blue dots. This is where they are beyond the network reach. So here in this slide, it shows that 7% of the population in this country, Somalia, live in a cold spot, meaning that these are areas, all these dark blue spots, where they are beyond the reach of either fixed broadband, 2G, or 3G plus networks. So they are not able to be reached by any of this. They're not connected by digital networks. So this is very important so that it helps the government authorities and the alerting authorities to find other ways to reach these people. And also 74% of the population do not own a mobile phone, so they are not able to receive an emergency notification on their own personal device. So this sort of studies is useful to know, what channels would work in the country. And another, just to introduce other innovative solutions using AI, we had AI for early warnings for All Innovation Challenge. There are just 2 teams here that I wanted to highlight. They are finalists. And Team Daraja, they are using AI to support dissemination and communication of extreme weather warnings to communities in Sudan. So they are looking at issues of language and literacy barriers across 11 states. So this is one team that's using AI to help to reach people that need to be, so that it's inclusive. Another team is Team Dastaj, that they are looking at developing an AI-powered dissemination system based on common alerting protocol. They are looking at Bangladesh. They want to automate the translation of early warnings into simplified, locally relevant formats, and they plan to do a pilot in the Baguna district in Bangladesh. Okay, so anyway, this is the end of my presentation, and I just leave you some references. Thank you, Giraj, and I send it back to you.
Thank you, Karen. What an amazing presentation and a lot of progress through the early warning for initiative. Amazing work from ITU. Congratulations to ITU. I'm not going to ask question. I believe in the question and answer chat, I request all the participants to put your Q&A so that Karen will have an opportunity to respond, as well as at the later part of the moderation. We have got 10 minutes. For that, you can also ask raising your hand and ask questions to Karen directly, as well as to the rest of the panel experts. So with that, let me now introduce the moderator, which is Johan Gelly, Asia Director for Research Impact at the International Water Management Institute. He has, during his 30 years of experience, from the professional experience, has been advising government, think tank, non-government organization. And he is very new to IWMI, and he has been pioneering and advancing areas of how do we scale innovations like the one Karen has presented. But he also have a deep dive work when it comes to water related projects around the world. Without further delay, let me now pass it on to Johan to introduce the rest of the panel experts. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be with you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, to all the participants, including the panelists and the speaker. Thanks a lot, Karen. Just a few words before I start, because I think this is important when it comes to early warning system. First, we have to recognize that the stakeholders, the experts have been doing a fantastic job in the last 3 to 4 decades. Thanks to this fantastic job, For each disaster event, there is less, the death toll on the impact on economic asset has decreased over time. So congratulations to all of us. But saying that at the same time, reaching the last mile is the most difficult part. And it's not difficult, most of the time it's not difficult because of technology. On many thanks, Karen, you have introduced the issue, the use of artificial intelligence in Somalia. Which is extremely useful. So technology is currently helping us to address the gap for the last mile. But most of the time, and this is a hidden issue, most of the time, politicians in many countries do not want to make the extra effort to reach the last mile because in terms of population, this is not massive population which are living in the last mile. Most of the population are living in urban areas. So the political concentration when it comes to early warning system on the political awareness is much more on urban areas, peri-urban areas, and much less in the last mile aspect. So this is where we have to concentrate our narrative to make sure that the politicians take care upon the last mile where few people are living. So this is very important. I'm happy. Let us start with the panel. I'm happy to start with the first one. I will present the 4 panelists in a row, and then I will hand over to you, Christophe. So the first panelist is Christophe Ness, Vice President of Product. Christophe Ness has more than 20 years of experience in the technology and telecommunication sector across technical sales, engineering, management. And prior to joining Intersect, he served 8 years within the SAGEM mobile phone research and development division, leading the software development of several signature phones of the company. He also occupied several positions at eServe Global in pre-sale organization and product marketing. And Christophe joined Intersect in 2013 as a product manager on geolocalization portfolio. He now runs the entire product marketing team. Welcome, Christophe. Give me a few seconds, and I will hand over to you. Polly, this is our second speaker from the panelists. Polly Harlow, Senior Project Officer at Clear Global. Polly is an experienced professional with a strong background in international program on language services, currently serving as a Senior Project Officer at Clear Global since October 2021. And prior to this, Polly held various positions, including Language Service Project Officer and Project Management Intern within the same organization. Polly's academic achievements include a Master of Philosophy in Heritage Studies from the University of Cambridge and a Bachelor degrees in Modern and Medieval Language, French and German. So I'm very happy, Polly, you can understand my English with my French accent. From the same institution, she got this bachelor, complemented by a year abroad in Dutch philology at the University of Vienna. Then we will have our third speaker, Pradeep Kodipili, Director, Awareness, Disaster Management Center in Sri Lanka. Mr. Kodipili joined the Disaster Management Center in Sri Lanka in 2008 and has over 23 years of experience in agriculture, disaster management, early warning, emergency response, CBDRM, but also media management and climate change adaptation. As the early warning focal point, he oversees national to local emergency operation and manages the 117 National Emergency Call Center. He holds a Master Science degree in disaster management and is reading a PhD in disaster early warning at the University of Huddersfield, UK. And finally, our last speaker will be Nishad Tasneem. She's officer on knowledge and influencing at Practical Action in Bangladesh. So at Practical Action, Nisha Tasmin supports the climate resilience program, focusing on people-centered early warning system. She works on knowledge planning, research, content development, training, and advocacy. She brings a strong academic and practical experience in DRR, DRM, adaptation, resilience, GIS, UHI, NBS, nature-based solution, LLA, anticipatory action, water resource management, and multi-hazard risk assessment. She's passionate about integrated modern technology within disaster development nexus. And this is what we are talking about now if we want to reach the last mile. In this area of work, she's looking at strengthening the resilience of the last mile community. So now let us start with the panel session. Please, each expert, you get a maximum of 3 minutes for each round, followed by additional response from the question and answer session. If we are a little bit too delayed, we will do first round, and then we will go directly to the Q&A session. So now the round 1 is focused on organizational role and innovation in the last mile communication. The focus is to showcase, for each panelist, is to showcase your contribution to improve last mile early warning delivery through your respective organization. So Christophe, 2 questions, and you can start with the one you would like to. Christophe, artificial intelligence is increasingly used to enhance early warning system. Can you tell us more about that? And how do you see artificial intelligence helping government and emergency services use geolocation on mobile technologies to deliver timely, location-specific alerts, especially to people in hard-to-reach or underserved areas, what we call the last mile. Christophe, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne, for the introduction. And I have brought with me just a couple of slides, starting with the first one is just a really quick introduction on the company, Intersec.
Yes.
The company was created 20 years ago, and basically what we are doing is that we are crunching metadata that we extract from mobile network to derive some actionable intelligence. And we've been developing from the 10 first years some B2B use cases along with mobile network operator and messaging capabilities. And in the last recent years, we've been expanding into business to government use cases, and especially the one of today around civil protection and public warning systems. Just to mention, we're a member of ITU, and our technology contributes to sending alert messages to 40% of the European Union population. But we are addressing the market globally, and we are promoting our technology in all continents to help government to send alerts to populations. So on the AI, how can we leverage on AI to bring the most efficient delivery of alert message to population? On this slide, we have just gathered the main challenges that we see on the market and from our end user customer on the coverage, the hard to reach communities, skepticism, the stress from the people in charge to when it comes to sending actually the alert, the limited use of multilingual and accessible messaging, and how we see AI. Basically, we see the public warning or early warning is like a big button that you will press, and it will send some alert message to everyone. And it's really a matter of also understanding when to press that button. So having the proper intelligence information reported from the field, from sensors on the field, understanding how dense is the population in the area that will be alerted is really something critical to best use this sending of alert. And once the action to alert the population is taken, then it's how efficient can you be. So how can AI help the duty officer to actually create that alert as fast as he can, proposing the proper wording in the message out of the context which is raised from the field, the understanding of the situation during the crisis, but also helping into automatically translating the message in all relevant language, so that everyone will have a proper understanding on what are the key directions to be taken and how to react on this situation. It's also a matter, we've seen the variety of alert broadcasting channel to be used and contributing to reach most of the population. So how can we select? How can the channel selection can be done so as to make really most of this alert, and also text to speech, how to expand even further the alert so that it can be vocalized or some visual generation to help everyone to get the message properly. And I will finish by taking this as an example of a gas explosion scenario, where, I mean, collecting all the proper signals from the field, from sensing IoT or feeds of news coming down to the situation room to be able to react properly, helping the duty officer to interact efficiently with the tool, being onboarded easily, creating and easing the creation of the alert with automatic content generation, translation, generation of the zone, optimizing the zone where the alert shall be dispatched, choosing the most appropriate channels to be used, whether it's through the mobile network operators like cell broadcast, LBSMS, referring to the presentation of Karen, or going beyond to digital channel, or even traditional channels like sirens or digital signage is really key, and this is where we see a strong use of the AI technology. And this is it. I hope I could fit in the 3 minutes. I think you are mute.
You are muted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm very sorry. Many thanks, Christophe. Excellent.
Okay.
One of the critical issues you mentioned is very interesting, how to overcome the public skepticism or the community skepticism.
Yeah.
And some of us, and many of us working for decades have been confronted to that when there
Yeah.
is introduction of new technology, mobile phones, and before internet
Yeah.
or before other things. Very interesting. Polly,
okay.
yes.
But just we see that using the tool, I mean the public warning system tool regularly on drill exercises to let the population know about these new means of sending alert is really key to
Absolutely.
overcome that.
To
Yes.
increase awareness. Absolutely. Polly, you will be the next. I will ask you the question now. Then it will be Pradeep and then Nishad. So Polly, clear global focus on language and communication barriers. And by the way, this is also your professional but academic background. Could you share an example of how using messaging in people's preferred language and format, I mean cultural format sometime as well, can help improve early warning uptake among linguistically diverse or marginalized communities? Polly, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Johan, and thanks for inviting us to this discussion. I will also, if I can, share my screen with a slide or two, and I'll
You
be
can see it.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes, excellent.
So just to say who we are, Clear Global is a non-profit organization with a mission to help people get information and be heard whatever language they speak. We do this in various ways, through research, through language tech, and through language services, including working around better understanding the right language and format in which to provide messaging in this context. One of the areas we are working in at the moment is in compiling language use data. So it was very interesting to see Karen's presentation about the AI pilot as well, from that perspective, that accurately reflects the languages spoken by people, including the most marginalized. And when we collect and analyze this data, we repeatedly find that affected communities are far more linguistically diverse than we assume, and that gender also compounds language exclusion. I showed just one example here from 2019, where we saw how women were much less likely to be reached by messaging in Portuguese in Mozambique, for instance. So one of the things we've done recently to address this is create a language use data platform that compiles data from multiple sources, and to use this as a foundation to work with local partners and communities to develop messaging in appropriate languages and formats and make evidence-driven decisions behind what language to present messaging in. So I will touch on very briefly on one example of this, and this is actually something we've worked on recently with our colleagues at Practical Action in Bolivia. So nice to have Nishat here from the Bangladesh team as well, where we worked with two indigenous communities in Bolivia facing climate-related hazards, the Takana community in the Amazon zone and the Aymara in the highlands. And Clear Global supported this work by first overlaying municipal level language data with existing data on different types of risks communities are facing, and then engaging directly with the community to understand communication preferences and test the words that are typically used in Bolivia in early warning messaging. And we saw several challenges here, especially in areas with low connectivity where we saw many people were not reached at all by messaging. But we also found that technical and abstract terms that were being used in Spanish often didn't have clear equivalents in local languages. For example, the levels of alert that the National Meteorological Service was using to disseminate warnings about flood risk simply had no equivalents in Takana and Aymara languages with the community's members we spoke with. And so one thing we've done here is we've worked together with partners in the community to co-design new terminology in those languages that actually reflects the actual risks faced within those communities. And we're at the point now where our colleagues at Practical Action are working with communities to integrate those terms into community-led disaster and early warning plans, including through local radio stations, which you can see was one of the channels through which communities gave feedback that they would like to receive messages in. So I stop there, but to say that by engaging directly with communities, the picture of language use is often more complex than you might think, and by co-designing and developing language tools, it also is a way to build trust and integrate their knowledge as well into the systems that we're using.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Polly. Excellent presentation. And yes, to respond to the chat, yes, Erlich, I'm speaking under the control of the speakers, but yes, we'll share the presentation later. Absolutely. Many thanks, Polly. And for example, another case is South Sudan, where you have 64 different ethnies. So when it comes to the diversity of language, it's extremely difficult to harmonize and to make sure that all ethnies are not excluded. Yes, absolutely. Many thanks. It is time now to move to our third speaker, Pradeep. Pradeep, from your experience leading national awareness campaigns in Sri Lanka, what are the most effective communication channels for reaching last mile communities in Sri Lanka? On how is DMC adapting these strategies to changing the risk context? Pradeep, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. After 2004 tsunami, we started our early warning system. Yeah. Even myself, I've been affected with the tsunami, so I really know about the tragedy of that particular incident. And there were no any early warning mechanism in Sri Lanka before 2004. But after that, in 2005, we started to develop our early warning system. We started with the one telephone because we had only one telephone. I was having 20 years experience of early warning division in Sri Lanka, but we had only one telephone. And we developed a lot of the communication modes, including VHF, because sometimes you will not be able to communicate with the last mile communities with GSM communication. You know, sometimes the GSM communication is very difficult. Sometimes it might be very traffic jam and also having a lot of interactions. So then what we thought to have kind of a different early warning mechanisms like voice in the military communication and also the police communication, maybe the SMS. There are several SMS systems. We have the key contactors being connected with the SMS system, and also we have 32 million SIM cards available in Sri Lanka, but we have 22 million population, but we have 32 million SIM cards, but it's already been connected with our early warning mechanism. So, but the thing is, if you evacuate the people at night time, that might be the huge difficulty, right? So people are sleeping. So they will not get sometimes messages at any time. That's why we, for the tsunami, because the lead time is minimized with the tsunami evacuation. We have only 50 minutes, but we had only 1.5 hours. But only with the warning dissemination, we have only 50 minutes to evacuate the people. So we selected 100,000 people around the coastal belt. We had a different communication mechanism. So we thought tsunami SOS tone. So once that very heavy ringtone already been installed in that particular the mobile phones, so they will get that messages. They will awaken with their communities and all. So that is that. So we need to think about the community so at risk and the time duration where the early warning has to be well developed and given. So time is very important. For the cyclone, we have time. For the flood, we have time. For the drought, we have time. Landslide, we don't have time. But that's why the early warning mechanism, SMS, VHF, HF, communication methods already been developed in Sri Lanka. We have around 15 early warning mechanisms developed in Sri Lanka for the tsunami and all. But the thing is, at the night time, evacuation is very difficult. And also, we need to do between we warning earthquake scenario in 2011. So that is in the daytime. So all this comes at the daytime. But if it is comes for an earthquake or whatever the tsunami situation in the night time, so that might be a different scenario. That's why we develop different scenarios and also different the early warning mechanisms in the early warning mechanism, because we have 15 early warning mechanism right now in the country. And also at the night time, so we have developed a special ringtone for the tsunami warnings as well. That is that. So that is very important. So when we talk about early warning, so risk analysis and the dissemination and also the forecasting and also the response capability. Like myself, because we are evacuating, we are educating the communities how they receive the early warning. So the simple language that they need to receive the early warning. Otherwise, that might be a huge difficulty because people are lame. They need to receive that early warning in simple language. So that is very important. That's why these 4 pillars has to be well filled by the disaster management sector in the Sri Lanka. That's why we are trying to have such kind of a very impact-based early warning system, because we have early warning, but we are sometimes not thinking about the early warning, impact-based early warning. We are the paradigm 1. We are specific, hazard specific, not the vulnerability, or not sometimes the exposure data. So we need to go to the paradigm 2, and paradigm 2, that means the impact-based early warning system. That will definitely help to increase our economy as well, because if the impact has to be well communicated with the community with the early warning. That is very important in Sri Lanka. We are trying to have that such kind of ability, and so we have a lot of experience in the tsunami. We have a lot of disaster situation, and also we have landslides, flood situation. So that is that. But we have 15 early warning system, because we never rely on a one early warning system, because people need to get several early warning system. One will fail, second one will fail, third one will fail, but the fourth one will work. So that is important, because we need to have several early warning mechanism to disseminate the messages in simple language to the community. That is very important. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Pradeep, and greetings from Mbili Pitia, where we stand today in the Water Authority office of Mbili Pitia with Dr. Giriraj. Congratulations for the effort done in the last 20 years by Sri Lanka. This is pretty impressive. And of course, there is still some challenges, including what you mentioned, the evacuation at night, etc., etc. But again, congratulations, the massive effort done in the past 2 decades. Nisha, this is your turn, and tell us from practical action in Bangladesh. You have deep experience working with rural and climate vulnerable communities. How do you ensure that early warning messages are not only received, but trusted and acted upon at the household and community level? Not an easy endeavor. Nishad, tell us your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this session and to discuss on this critical issue. And thank you for the question. May I share my screen? Oh.
Alors, for the moment, we see.
Can you see that?
Not yet the PowerPoint.
Sorry. Yeah. So, can you see it now?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. As we are working with the community, just at first I want to share how the early warning system in Bangladesh is working actually. You know, Bangladesh is exposed to a number of climate-induced hazards like floods, cyclone, and some other hazards affect this country regularly. Like 100 million people are exposed to different types of hazards. In Bangladesh, the dissemination or early warning system is generally based on 2 organizations, 2 departments actually. Bangladesh Meteorological Department, this department is responsible for forecasting different types of meteorological weather data or in extreme events data, and the flood forecasting and warning center, they are under the Bangladesh Water Development Board. They work to disseminate any kind of flood related information to the community people and to other relevant departments and ministries. So the country has been working on developing the early warning system for a very long time, but there are still some challenges like to reach the last mile. In practical action, we firmly believe that early warning system can be effective when it can reach the last mile at the right time. Right? It's not about technology. It's all about transforming the information into some actions. So where are the problems? The problems are there are some poor infrastructures. The last mile people who are mainly exposed to the cyclones or flood events, they do not have any access to the modern technologies. They don't know how to use this information that they are getting. But most often they are too late to be prepared. There are some other challenges like weak coordination among the government systems, or like capacity gap, or lack of knowledge of risk data. So all this actually hindering the effective early warning system of the country. So as there is a challenge to reach the people because they don't have any access to the modern technology. Like there are some people who live in the coastal areas or most distant parts like chor areas. They don't have any early warning system. They don't have any access to mobiles or any other network systems, most of the cases. So how they get the information when they are too late? So what we are doing to overcome this challenge, we are supporting in multiple ways. Like we are raising the awareness of the community people and of the local government system. We are working on institutional capacity building activities, and we are also developing some community-based groups, community-based organizations. We are supporting the early warning dissemination, speedy dissemination committee that is mainly led by Department of Disaster Management, and we are also supporting the early warning for all initiative of the United Nations. But what we are doing at the community level, we're actually disseminating early warnings through 4 channels, actually 5 channels. But currently we are working on 4 channels. One is localized early warning voice messaging system. The another one is digital weather board. And the third one is local resilience agent. And fourth one is disaster alert for BDF. And we had also developed a call center, like Krishi call center. They were generally responsible for disseminating agricultural advisories to the local people, local government. Actually, we have handed over to the Department of Agricultural Extension. So I'm gonna present here how we are actually gaining the trust of the community people. So we develop some local resilience agent. They are generally formed from the local people. They are like local volunteers. What they do, they actually work as a bridge between the local government and local community people. How they are gaining the trust of the local people, as they are very much well aware of their community. They know what types of people are there, what levels of difficulties or vulnerabilities the community people of their area are facing. So they can easily convey their needs or the rights of the human and women and other disadvantaged groups easily to the local government. They are generally trained to use the information or the alerts that they get from different sources, like from the local government or from some other sources like our voice messaging system or alert, disaster alert for PDF. They use this information to disseminate this to the local people and make them informed they should be prepared right now. They are supporting the local farmers so they can take early actions, just having alerts at a right time, having enough time to be prepared. And we are also prioritizing the female people of that community to be a part of this local resilience agent. And one agent is responsible for reaching 100 households. They are also being skilled on some other activities like first aid trainings and search and rescue activities, identifying the beneficiaries and being involved in anticipatory actions like resource distribution and some other activities. And they actually bridging the gaps between the local communities and the local governments or national governments, whatever we say. So they are actually effectively disseminating the information in a trustworthy manner, because the community people really found it very effective. When they get these types of information from them, they can take early actions, like they could relocate their assets to a safe place, and they could save their other things of their households. They could move to a safe place, like the farmers could cut their crops early. So this was very difficult for those community people to get quickly once upon a time, but now it has been solved through these local resilience agents. Thank you. There are some other slides that I will describe in my later question. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot, Nishad, and thanks a lot for speaking out about the localization agenda. And I like the fact that you have been building over the years the 3 phases of the project throughout Bangladesh, a movement or a coalition of resilient agents. Congratulations for that, and many thanks. Look, colleagues, we have only 5 minutes left. On the second round was all about exploring our collaboration policy framework on technology can scale early warning system communication, but we'll put that on the side. We still have 5 minutes, and I would like, if you don't mind, to open the floor to participants. On panelists, of course, you can come back to the issue of scaling up communication if you wish, which pertain to the second round. So the floor is over. The floor is open to participants. I see that we are around 40.
Yeah, they can raise the hand, then we can give them the chance to speak.
Yes, absolutely. Do you see any hands?
No, there is no any hand raising.
Alors,
Yeah, there is one. There is one.
okay, please. The floor is yours.
Yes. Now she can answer. Ask the question. Judith,
Judith, please.
please.
The floor is yours.
Hello. Thanks for the
Yes.
presentation. That was fantastic. I'm curious about solutions for early warning in the Arctic because we have problems there also, especially with the mountains coming down sometimes when the permafrost melts, and there have been tsunamis. And I wonder if there's anyone with knowledge of that region or with projects there, maybe, because everything you've described there could be very useful in some of those villages.
Dear panelists, any experience?
And also with the language thing, because Greenlandic is a very poorly represented language in informatic right now.
I don't see any. So no worries. Judith, you might get an answer, a written answer, a virtual written answer at a later stage. Unless Christophe, you would like to say something, I see.
No, but yeah, we can get in touch to explore this further, definitely.
Okay, good. Very good. We still have 2 minutes for another question, if any. If not, if one of the panelists would like to have a last conclusive input or remark, you are most welcome. Yes, Pradeep, please.
Yeah, I think so that is very important topic we discussed today, and that is very important. The world is needing some kind of a very good early warning mechanism. Why? Because we cannot mitigate all the disasters around the world. So what we need to have kind of a very effective impact-based early warning system. We're always calling about the early warning, but we are not talking about the impact-based early warning. So that is that we need to integrate the impact-based early warning mechanism in the world. That is very important. Even the meteorological agencies, even the disaster management agencies around the globe. So that is needed to have kind of a very good impact-based early warning mechanism right now, because we really understand we need to have an early warning mechanism. Otherwise, people need that one with advanced time. So that is leading time is a very important. Sometimes we could say, okay, we have a very good early warning mechanism, but there is no any leading time. Why? If there is no any leading time for the evacuation, what the early warning system is. So there should be a leading time plus the early warning mechanism with the impact. That is that. So thank you very much, organizing, especially for the IWMI and all the organizers. Thank you very much. And so we are always here to protect every life around the country, around the globe, around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this conclusive word. And when we speak about impact, of course, it's saving lives. The second one is protecting economic assets. The third one, in some specific cases, could be also protecting the environment. And the fourth one, which is also important for massive disaster, is also protecting security, stability, and peace at the end of the day. So the 4 dimensions. Congratulations to everybody. Many thanks for your participation. Many thanks to the panelists. Many thanks to Karen as well. We are looking forward to carry on this conversation, which is absolutely important because the last mile is difficult to reach for different reasons that has been explained by the panelists. And again, I would add the last one, which is politicians do not pay too much attention to the last mile because there is not a lot of population living there. So we still have some work to be done. And I would like to thank also Dr. Giriraj, who is sitting next to me. And I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening. And please let us carry on this conversation virtually, emails, WhatsApp, phone call. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Joanne.
Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.